David, this is kind of interesting because I was reading an article about nostalgia for the 90s and in specific Y2K, and it also referenced the movie of our guest, Kyle Mooney, did a feature film called Y2K, where he kind of reenacts the styles, the telephones, the media, what was the web like then, everything. So
it plays on the fears we all had when it was turning from 1999 to 2000. And the word on the street was computers wouldn't understand that and they would all shut down at the same time. And what would we do? I do know someone that went to Hawaii thinking that was like a deserted island and saying, I'm just going to go to Hawaii. Like, by the way, Hawaii is like going to, Boston. It's the same big buildings, lots of electricity.
Yeah. So it's got a Best Buy and a Ralph's.
So they weren't really escaping, So I don't know what I'm saying. So, so he's an interesting guy, was on SNL and
for 9 seasons.
Yeah, 9 monster seasons. And he had we talked a lot about that. We talked about his movie. And he also did sketches before that. He does a lot of improv. He's actually a very interesting character. He's not just sort of a run-of-the-mill comic or improver. He's got a lot of smart guy.
Dry, quirky, good neighbor was the first time I saw him on YouTube. We talk all about that and how he sort of adapted his style of comedy to the rock and roll sporting type event that Saturday Night Live is. And that was very interesting to me. And he wrote and directed this movie for A24. So
and it's SNL's a little more to the world and not just specifically to like a sliver of an interesting improv group. You can get away with more just if you're like a hardcore comedy fan on some things. And then sometimes you go to SNL and you've got to broaden it just a little bit, even though SNL does praise very weird bits. You know what I mean? Very different. Very
with
clever.
The live show on the soundstage and stuff. Sometimes some sketches are more performative. There's a word. And some are writer driven. They do more films now, or videos and stuff. So you can be a little quirkier, drier and stuff like that. But he had a great run. He has a lot of fans. He has his own lane of comedy, his own style. And this is a horror comedy. So I'm sure it's going to be
horror. Yeah.
Horror.
Horror is the hardest word.
Horror is the hardest word. And if you say it to a loved one and it comes out wrong, you're in the doghouse for a week. Honey, do you want to go see that horror film? And if she didn't get the part.
It's as bad as saying, does this place have any booths? Does your restaurant have booths?
Yeah.
Booths? What do you say, Dana? Booths or booths?
I went to a horror film, and before that, we went to a restaurant and sat in the booths.
And it was February.
And we went and we watched clips of the movie interstitially. Everybody sounds drunk when they say these words. I went to a horror film. It has some booze. It's either Tom Brokaw or a very inebriated gentleman.
Well, here he is. So you're going to like Kyle Mooney and have a good time with them.
Enjoy him. I made a mistake. The last show at SNL, Lauren, during the meeting, he's on the stage. He goes, Dana, you look like you're reading the cards.
Did he really?
I know. And I said, the reason I look like I'm reading the cards is because I am reading the cards.
Yeah, King Tut. Stay out of my business.
On SNL.
I was there, Dana. I saw it in real life, and that was truly the exact interaction.
It was because the card was moving to when they had a single on me and moving back to the double. So that was a little bit, I wasn't used to that.
This is inside baseball, Kyle Mooney.
I'm just saying we fuck up a lot, don't know what we're doing, but you direct movies, you create art. I don't know. We're so excited to have you on here because I was trying to figure out your sense of humor. I'm like, what why is it so potent? You know.
Yeah, you want me to try to answer that?
No, Kyle, I was
I
going
don't
to
know.
say.
I don't know if you could. If people
Dana
said
doesn't sound serious because he's eating chips or something. It doesn't sound like the most serious. He goes, "You're one of the best."
It relaxes the guest. It relaxes it says to the guest.
We're all just hanging out, eating.
The more
it's exactly what I do with my pals. It's always somebody chewing something and then like asking a pretty sincere, vague question, I would say. Yeah.
very you're potent. Describe your potency.
Yeah, it's kind of at least when I first got to know you is through my kids. It was Good Neighbor. That was like, you got to see this guy and your gang doing that stuff, and the Man on the Street. And so playing it so flat real, almost kind of Andy Kaufman-y, but not, I'm not sure. It's your own lane, but it was very, it's such a skill.
That's very sweet. I really appreciate it. And I do remember, I feel like at the 40th, maybe I met you and
I said the same thing.
You had very nice things to say, and it was super meaningful. So I do appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of like a showboater out there. I'm like I'm a needy little clown. I'm dancing for my donuts. Isn't that? By the way, I rap. So when I see other people going on like a rock and roll show like SNL and going in their own frequency and lane, it's just very interesting. And I don't, comedians like the person outside the boundaries, kind of like you're just sort of doing your own thing. But anyway, I'm sure everyone has said this to you and spoken to you. And
no, I mean, again, it truly does. Any way you say that, it sounds very nice to me because you guys are heroes. So it's really awesome to hear that. I think like the challenge, of course, is like, how do you fit whatever you want to call that? If you want to call it subversiveness or like you said, subtlety, like how do you package that in a way that works for the show,
Right.
Do you feel sometimes it's too far out of bounds? That's a problem. You want something that works, but you want to be innovative.
I do think that like early on, I was probably trying to do too much of exactly what I was doing on YouTube and on our internet videos. I think over time I was able to sort of like better manipulate it so that like it maybe fit more in sort of a consumable box, you know what I mean? And that was the fascinating thing for me. I think always was like, just, I'm sure this goes with everybody, and so many people have said this, but just like what hits and what doesn't, because sometimes that stuff would play, and like we did a couple of those internet interview videos, and they did work well, but some of the stuff is too non-jokey and too dry or something for the audience, and it gets nothing.
Well, that is the great thing about Good Neighbor is you guys were like pirates doing your own thing. Like you just make your little pieces of work and you put them on YouTube. But yeah, to SNL, I think it happens to anybody, whatever their sensibility, but the audience discovering you on SNL happened over a period of time. So they knew your kind of vibe, and they would start to just be happy when they'd see you, right? At some point you got
I think so. And well, yeah, I mean, I feel like, yes, you do. I did start to notice it. And definitely, I feel like it was in probably the latter half of my time there. I remember there was a monologue. I did a piece with Chance the Rapper. He had a monologue, and like it was a rap written by Dan Bola about.
It's always Bola.
Yeah, exactly. It's always Bola. It was about like Chicago and the second city. And it was, Chance said like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Mooney," or something like that. And there was like an applause and like a sense of recognition, even though I'd already been on the show, but it still felt like, oh, okay, you do know me to some degree. And that was really special. And even when, I was back a couple of weeks ago and I saw you, Dana, like the audience was very sweet. And so at some point it happens. It's sort of invisible. I don't know if you know when that moment is, but it is absolutely comforting. for sure.
It's super nice. I mean, you came out on during the monologue, and then there's just this roar. It's just like and for me, people always say this thing: are you a fan of this person or fan of that person? If I see someone on TV and they make me laugh really hard, only one time, I would call myself a fan.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're doing it multiple times over 9 years,
most people never make you laugh.
Yeah,
I mean, for comedians,
agree. I feel, and this is not me trying to
go ahead.
Turn this conversation into promotion for the movie we're putting out.
No, we definitely want to talk about the movie.
Well, we don't have to. Okay,
we have no outline and no. So let's
we
just
don't
go
want to hear
wherever
anything else other than the movie. Go ahead.
But I will say, okay, it's called Y2K. Friday, December 6th is when it comes out. It's about 2 high schoolers going to a party in 99 and Y2K actually happening. But what I was going to say was that, I think there are laughs in it. And I've obviously been to screenings of it, and there are moments that get laughs. And to me, I feel the same way. I feel like if I go to a comedy movie and I laugh hard once, that is a win.
It's such a fucking miracle. It's so funny you say that, because
totally.
You can watch things and people nod and they go, that was pretty funny. And you go, you didn't even laugh. And you go, no, it's good.
Right.
Or you pitch a joke at read through or rewrites, and they go, yeah, that'll work. And I go, wait a second. Nobody laughed.
Yeah, you didn't respond at all.
Yeah, I just go, it'll work for who? The others? The cattle? That's true, though. One laugh, if you can get a trailer with, I remember this is an example of just Schneider doing Deuce Bigalow. He was upside down. You remember that? And he swings on a upside down thing, the stretch. And he hits an aquarium. Hey, fucking put it in the trailer. Don't ruin the movie. Anyway, he gets a big laugh. That sold the whole movie, because you go, oh, that made me laugh. That's the kind of movie it is. It's goofy and off the wall. But it's hard to even get one laugh. So I get what you're saying. You get if someone makes you laugh, now you're in. They crack the code. Now you go, okay, I'll pay attention now.
Yes. And speaking to what you're talking about, pitching something and it's sort of being yeah. I mean, I think you nailed it. And I feel like so many of us have probably experienced that in any sort of comedy writing room when you're talking to somebody yeah, man, funny. It's funny. Just saying the word funny, but not eliciting any response. It's very real and something that happens quite often.
Let me ask you a question. So you wrote and directed.
Yeah. I co-wrote it. Yeah. Yeah. My friend Evan, who I went to college with. Yeah.
The USC gang. Yeah. Bennett. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Beck does a voice in it. Yeah.
And what is it about? Because I know for those of the kids that don't know, Y2K was a big deal. It was a big scary deal.
Yeah.
Is it a scary movie, or is it comedy scary, or is it not like that?
I think comedy scary is an apt descriptor, I would say. Yeah, it
sounds so dumb the way to say it.
No, it is the first time I've heard anyone say that.
I think horror and comedy go together beautifully.
They're hard to weave, but
I mean, it starts out as I would say attempting to be a pretty classic, iconic teen movie, coming of age movie, comedy in the realm
fun
of
movie. We got a big party to go to.
Super bad. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we were really,
yeah.
There were so many movies in that era that came out that were sort of directed to teens, a la Can't Hardly Wait and stuff, or even the John Hughes movies or whatever.
Sure.
And then, at midnight, things, again, Y2K actually happens, machines come together, and these robots start terrorizing these kids, essentially.
It's what we all thought. There's a slim chance that could happen. Not a slim. People were saying it's for sure happening.
Yeah, no, my mom was scared for sure.
Yeah, someone I know went to an island. I'm like, what are you going to do there? Harvest coconuts? Do you really want to be alive when everything goes south? Why does everyone want to be alive?
And it was going to be supposed to be like chaos, right? Like chaos. The Purge or something. Because
computers can't understand going to 00 or something.
Yeah,
and they will all crash.
But it was fine. Mm-hmm. It was fully nothing, and
it's unreal that it was nothing, because I remember thinking what was going to happen. They said, computers don't understand. They don't understand. We only made them to 99. They don't know what to do. I didn't know they were going to attack us like your movie, but they did say they might not work.
So the movie is in theaters right now, by the way.
Yeah.
As
cool.
we speak.
Maybe somebody's seen it that's listening, and I want to say thank you if you made it out. That really means
that was
a lot.
very cool of you. Thank you.
I think I was just curious about in the writing of it. It sounds fun that you're starting out with a '90s comedy and just having all the kind of either tropes or cliches or just having fun with it, right? It's just like this big. So I just wonder how your mind thinks when you're writing, because I would think you're like there's jokes that are like more hard, simple laughs if someone falls down, that kind of thing. Then there's dry, weird things that go places you don't expect. And then there's the ones that are so off kilter that people who get them bond over them, that they don't necessarily kill, but friends will quote them to each other for long periods of time. Anyway, that seems to be, how much of the process of writing do you get a big bulletin board and you're starting to put up ideas for scenes, kind of like SNL, or how did this one come about?
Initially it was just truly the seed of the idea. I woke up on New Year's Day, 2019, hungover, and just that that first like little concept of like, oh, there should be a movie about teens going to a party and like Y2K happens, machines come to get them. I pitched it to my friend Evan, who's a very talented screenwriter and filmmaker. We started riffing on it. And within a week, we had essentially the building blocks for what the movie is and what it would be. I think the process was super fun. I think for a variety of reasons. One, like the movie follows essentially these teenagers, and they all represent different cliques of the era. So there's like a rap rocker, there's like the popular girl, there's the sort of our lead who doesn't really fit in anywhere. There's like a kid who's really obsessed with underground hip hop. And one, it was like fun. Because I perform as well, like I get to sort of inhabit these characters in the writing process and sort of riff in their voice.
What are you?
What am I in real life? Who am I
in the movie?
In the movie, I play a video store clerk. I knew I wanted to be in it, but I knew I couldn't be like a proper teenager. But in the writing process, I feel like I'm taking over these characters to some degree.
That's interesting, because I would do it the exact same way. I wrote a script with a friend called Idiots and Monsters, and it's that combination. And I would just get into the characters and just riff, and he was really fast with typing and stuff. Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
It's great, and then the other component is like, I was 15 in '99. Evan was 14, and like you were saying, in terms of the gags and the jokes, there are some like pretty classic standard visual gags. But then there are like also very specific references to the era that I think like you won't understand really if you were alive. And then there's, I hate to say it, I actually don't even want to say it, but awkward humor, which I get.
Boner jokes?
There is definitely a boner joke.
Good.
Oh, now you got one ticket right over there. David Phineas Spade.
Did you say there's a babe that everyone loves? Isn't that usually in these movies that the girl everyone's pining over and she doesn't talk to you until this party?
That is Rachel Zegler as Laura in our film. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's a big star.
When you did Brigsby's Bear, there was it became a little sentimental. I mean, there was that other lane underneath the laughs. Do you kind of have that sort of story element in this one too, or is it more just a balls out comedy, or is there a sort of a sweetness or something to how it ties up, or
combo?
Yeah. Give away the movie before people see it.
No. Just tell the ending.
I mean, there's definitely, it's weird that I don't want to be the person saying this, but yes, I think that there is heart to it. And like, it's essentially really about two best friends and about their friendship and that person that like means so much to you in high school. And that sort of carries through the entire movie. And there's some sort of intense drama associated with it within the movie. But yeah, I mean, like, I loved making Brigsby Bear, and it definitely like maybe leans into quote unquote dramedy territory or something like that. But that is something that is exciting to me. And with this movie, like we're certainly going for laughs. We're also going for like, scares, but there are like moments of attempting to like tug at your heartstrings. Whether we're successful about it, I don't know, but absolutely that there is a layer of that. Yeah.
It is interesting. You can go on YouTube and stuff and look at like how do you someone's in a shower and they open the curtain and what's the exact cutting and angle to scare you. But I assume you had a director of photography that would sort of say, okay, here, this guy should pop out here. We don't see it. We cut there. I mean, it seems fun. I mean, I think those kinds of things are just exciting to land through.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, our DP was a guy by the name of Bill Pope, who is sort of a legend in his field. He shot The Matrix. He shot Clueless. He shot
Jesus Christ.
All the Edgar Wright movies. So like, yeah,
shot the sheriff.
But he did not shoot the deputy.
No. That was a big misunderstanding. So what about A24 you're putting it out with? That's a big company. You're dialed in.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that, David.
Listen, that's a big deal.
No, you're doing what everybody I talk to when I always do if you had 300 million net, what would you do? Writers who write movies for studios and stuff. Every single one says, oh, low budget indies, it's lower budgeted indies with total control.
Yeah. Yeah. A24 has been truly awesome and kind of unlike any studio or company I've ever worked with in the sense that they just are very good at branding and marketing and putting it out there. It's been pretty impressive to see how they've sort of attached themselves to it and I think taken out the things that potentially could pull people to the theaters. It's just been a cool thing to observe.
You know what? Attach themselves is better than saying they're running from it.
They absolutely, and they have there were moments where it felt like maybe they would or could.
No, they seem to the average guy like me that's in the biz barely that they are pretty selective and they don't do that much.
Yeah,
and
they do. They do
good, cool,
quirky,
things.
cool.
Yeah. That's good.
Paul
to get
Thomas
in with them.
Anderson does a lot of stuff with them. So when I saw this, even before I knew you were going to come on our show, I thought, oh, that's cool. Kyle Mooney and A24. I just thought it sounded like a good combo that they would be smart about.
There's a trust,
letting it be. You do your thing, hopefully,
and it would be good. It's not. They don't.
Did you finance it independently and then get with A24? You got with them and they were part of the financing, and that's how you made it, or was it a 2-step process?
No, they were there from the top initially when we had the early iterations of the script. Chris Storer, who created The Bear and is a director and producer, came on to produce. And then later on, Jonah Hill's company, Strong Baby, came on. And at about that same time, A24 came into the fold. And then like once we did like a couple passes, but truly it was one of those situations where once they were involved, things moved fast in a way that feels like very unique. Like I didn't think that it was going to happen as quickly as it did, and it did, and I truly feel blessed. Yeah,
do you know why it's called A24? I do.
I feel like I read once, but I'm curious.
It's because when you look up a production company in the phone book, they put an A in front of it, so then you'll call them first. You know what I mean, Dana? Like in the old days, in the yellow pages, they put A electrician, and then that's why you call them first because it's the first one you see alphabetically. It might be.
Now, do you think that? Do you really think they're angling for the phone company?
Would that translate to
Lane?
box office?
Am I trying to back out of this joke?
Yes. This is what they did. I'm not saying it was.
No,
the right
I'm saying
choice.
this is 100% fact that they went in their white pages. They want to be.
I know we're doing a fun podcast and everything, but I'm not following you, David.
No, that's such a good one, and it just fucking bombed.
It's not that.
No, I like
take it to the rewrite table.
It's called an urban myth. But anyway, we'll get through the inside baseball. But how many days shoot did you get?
Yeah, 23.
I'm going to guess 20. Okay. Why?
So you're going to say 23?
No.
Well, Dana, do you want to guess or no?
Yeah, I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess.
Say 29.
Because A24 is a pretty big outfit, and Kyle likes to spend money.
He likes to blow
that's
through
what
money.
Beck told me. So I'm going to, for fun, I'll say 32.
Jesus.
And now I feel like I need. It was
16. No.
It was. I think it was about 30 days. It was. Yeah.
I was going to switch mine to 29. I swear to God, I was going to switch.
It was like 6
David.
weeks.
Yeah.
Oh no, because I think Busboys is 24.
David's doing an indie film.
I'm doing indie right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pizza Hut is producing.
I know all the
but
lingo. Pizza Hut's in a collab.
I feel like they did some early Ninja Turtles stuff.
God,
A24 didn't like his pitch.
I should have pitched it to them. We didn't want to pitch it to anyone. We're worse.
I could definitely intro you to some folks, man.
But he's going right into what you just did.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing January.
That's great.
Yeah. Well,
ours is called Y2J.
That's good. That works for the phone book thing. So you got
ours is called AY2K.
What is that? That lubricant Y2K
KY jelly.
KY2K.
If I do a production company, it's going to be called KY Jelly.
Okay.
.com. Okay.
.com.
Okay.
.gasm.
So in the fantasy world, because this is I'm assuming you basically love the experience. Usually movies suck and there's too many chefs or they're long, hard shoots or someone drops out. I mean, so this sounds like just a pretty good experience in making this film.
I would say, I would say so. I mean, again, I had my friend Evan with me throughout the process. And so like, I don't feel, it felt more like a collaboration than just me. I didn't feel like the pressure was all on me. Again, we had Bill Pope. We had these incredible artisans.
Did Evan do Brigsby Bear? Who directed that?
That was directed by my friend Dave McCary, who I actually have known since I was in 5th grade. And he directed videos at the show for about 5 seasons, I want to say. But yeah, I mean, like with anything, I think we started writing, in 2019. We shot the movie in the summer of 2023, and now it's out. There's always like going to be, there were moments of doubts and frustration for sure, but overall it's been an incredible experience and I like it. And like, I feel like a pretty important component is that I do feel like it's pretty good.
People don't get how to go from writing to pitching to writing. It's just like a sketch. It can all be good. And then suddenly the edit looks wrong and you're like, what fucking happened? It's
absolutely,
you're doing that best you can. And it just somehow does not cut together.
Every script at some point, I don't know what page number, say you're trying to get to 90 pages for a low budget comedy and you get to 40 or 45, and then there's just all this. There's a part where it gets really hard. At least my experience.
Well, that's why I always link with somebody who I know is going to be better at that than me. You know what I mean? Like, and Evan is really great at that. And Brigsby Bear, I wrote it with my friend Kevin, and I've written with Evan and Kevin. And like I feel like they're just very good at structure and like kind of leaning into like what the character payoffs and the arc and all of that in a way that like I wouldn't say it's my forte per se. So like it's good to have somebody like that to lean on.
When I do it, I just bark out funny ideas and I go, somebody write it down.
Yeah. Well, I think, and so many people do that at SNL too, I think. You know what I mean?
Don't they take notes of just the rewrite table? Of just people talking in case they come up with something funny. I've heard they transcribe. Is that crazy?
I'm sure they do. I mean, like
someone's just taking down while you're talking in case you run into something and they read it back and go, that was funny.
You're talking about at SNL.
Yeah.
You didn't experience this though. You think this is happening now?
No, we had no court reporters. We had low budget. But I feel like I'd heard that about something, and they go, "Oh, read it back," and I'm like, "Oh, someone reads it back? Maybe it's during pitches or something." I don't know.
When I was there, there were definitely people that are taking notes during the pitches for sure. At rewrites, I don't remember anybody writing what was being said, but I was personally writing it down. I feel like you're hearing pitches from everybody else, and I'm like making notes on my script of like, okay, that's a good move.
Is rewrite
or a good
table
joke.
still on
9
where the old read through was?
It's an 8H.
Rewrite table is?
Oh, not rewrite. Rewrites of but the actual read through.
Read through is moved, but rewrites is still up on 17.
No. Oh, well, it's on both. They actually do. When I was there, at least, it was on 17 and 9. So there was the office on 9 that sort of overlooks the stage. I don't know if you know the one I'm referring to. Currently, it's by Lauren's office. On 9, and then they also have a rewrite table on 17.
They got 2 going.
Are you mad?
No, I am.
It's a model.
This is as mad as I get. I'm like, it doesn't affect me at all. I should probably get mad about this.
I got tweaked. I got tweaked because I saw some of the dressing rooms, and I just had a couch and a sink. But the dressing rooms on 8H and up on 9, they're like, there's Christmas lights, there's jukeboxes, there's refrigerators. Yeah. So when you left, 80, Kate, and Pete left when you left.
Oh, you guys all together?
Did you convince them all to leave with you, or did you
blood pact?
I feel like, I don't know how it felt for you guys. Beck left the season prior, my 8th season, his 8th season.
Your buddy from USC.
Yeah,
so weird. You feel weird dangling out there without him?
That season that he left was like the quote unquote, I guess you could call it the COVID year. It was like, we had done the year prior ended with COVID. So we did those at home shows, but that season, which I guess was maybe 2020 going into 2021, was the first year where table read was moved to 8H. It was super spread out. We were testing every day, and each person you didn't share an office with anybody. Everybody had their own individual space and their own individual dressing room. And initially the audiences were really sparse. It was only first responders, and there would be 30 people max or something like that in the studio. So that I feel like Beck left that season. I think some of us, and I feel like 80 for sure said this, was I would like to experience one more year that's closer to the traditional version of it. So, I don't know what our conversation was at the top of that season, but I do think that I had a sense that most of those folks were probably going to go.
So you didn't say you're going to go, or would anyone make you stay? Would anything change your mind? Or were you just you talked about it with the family? You're like, I think I'm done after this.
What was my personal reasonings? I mean,
he just had a good run, and you're like, it takes too long. Yeah, it's too much.
9 is a good run.
It pretty much came down to, yes, I feel like at that point, my close friends had left. I had pretty much done what I was capable of doing. You know what I mean? I don't know that I had a ton of new moves left. I feel like if the moment to break out further was going to come, I don't know how that would have transpired. So there was that component. And then, there was obviously just that amount of time. That's a long period to be in that environment. And then I just got married and we wanted to start a family. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the family took.
Family came
That was
first?
That's definitely what I told Lauren. I want to have a family, man. And he's like, and I understand.
Well, we're your family.
Well, is there, because I'm around there now and young cast members and stuff. And so even during the summer, you're thinking about what's going to happen when you go in there, and maybe there's new cast members coming and going. And then, so there's this emotional weight. Even I think Kate McGinnon said it was just, she got kind of just exhausted to a point. Just needed to get away from
Well, it's unhealthy. I feel like you guys talk about this. We must all agree that it's not a healthy
we all agree.
place to be.
There's no air in there. It's like
I think
aside from everything else.
I was going for that, but you beat me to
I want to say that a producer over there, I'm pretty sure it's Eric Kenward who said this at some point. He's like, in whatever 20, 30, 40 years, there might be some sort of study about like PTSD associated with people who worked at that show, because it is such an intense onslaught. And like, it's definitely not good for you. There's no way it is. I mean, it is in terms of like what it teaches you and the fact that you have this massive platform. But you get what I'm saying.
Well, being unprepared and going on live, and it'll be in the cards, and seeing the writers trying to fit the puzzle, and you go and your friends see it or family members and critique it. Yeah, it is. It's just different than anything else. I think didn't Chris Rock say to you or somebody, like, if you can do SNL, if you can produce your own sketch and land it and go through that, then you can direct films. You have some sort of armor emotionally on you. Nothing frazzles you because everything is last second on SNL. And
well, you definitely become way less precious about your work. All of a sudden, one, you have to turn around something every week, right? I think that was like
that's the hardest part.
One of the most, and for me, that was one of the most profound things that I took from it was like, prior to working there, I would like make stuff or write stuff when I was inspired. And that could take, a couple months. It's like, okay, now I got an idea. I want to pursue this thing. Now you're in a situation where you have to come up with something every week to have a chance to be on TV, essentially. And for me, it was like surprising that I found out that I could write something that I was okay with each week. Not that it necessarily ended up on the show or that it was brilliant, but at least something I was like, this is decent enough.
You have to run with a wispy idea. You're like, okay, I just finished the show. I wake up from the
just got back from the party Monday morning. You're sobered up.
What are you doing? What do you got? What is your long thought out sketch with all the beats? And you're like, it's nothing. I have nothing. I don't even know.
Right.
Well, let me ask you a question. Like, because I don't know if it was old fashioned, but I was worshiping the first cast, and the Coneheads would come on more than once. And so you'd have a character with a catchphrase, and then it gave you a baseline. So what were you had some reoccurring ones that would come back on Update or in sketches, or did you land many of those that you could then go, oh, I'll do this character this week? Once in a while.
Certainly never anything like iconic that people are like, oh, Kyle's bringing Dr. Ding Dong back.
It's so good.
I'm going to pitch that.
Fucking please.
Dr. Ding Dong, and I'm just going to see if that can land. That's comedy writing.
And Kyle, we're going to do a ding dong with Fallon
this week.
And then eventually we'll get a dong from Kyle.
It's always, hold it for Margot Robbie. That'd be a fun week.
I had a few like, probably, but towards the end on Update, I was doing Baby Yoda, and I got to do that a few times, and that was fun. And there were a couple of video pieces that we sort of would return to. I don't know if I can really remember a time where like the show was asking for me to like, you got to do, maybe there are a couple instances where like you should write like one of these sitcom parodies.
Please, this week.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda, former child star.
Yes. Yep.
It's been a while since I've seen Baby Yoga hit the headlines.
Baby.
Yeah, they're probably deep on whatever Mandalorian season something. I think they're making a movie.
Baby Yoda had a good run.
Did that happen during the, I don't know what, 2010 to 20, but teen, what they're called. They're not the knots. The secondary knots, I don't know. But being fanciful, I know Tina Fey early on in this mentioned Bowen Yang's iceberg character, and then I see people like Sarah doing very fanciful costumes and
big
headgear.
squirrel.
Like I'm Manhattan and there's a city on your head, which I love. I love it. It's just, I think that was a stylistic thing that wasn't as big when I was there initially, but I saw that come up and it's really makes me laugh. It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, I love what all those people, I mean, like Sarah is such a good example of like someone who I knew prior to her. I knew her work prior to her being on the show.
Oh,
and
you
like,
did.
Yeah. And she's the same person doing essentially a version of what she was doing then. And I think exaggerated and like perfectly for the show. And
it's good for the show. I think that fits right in. I mean, if she gets it, sometimes it may be too far out for the show. But when I saw that squirrel one and it was funny because she's going after every punchline, and then I think someone in the band is trying to match it with noise from sticks.
Right,
it's
right. And then every time it's slightly off,
it's funnier,
much funnier. You know, but I don't know what there are for me and others like me. I would get people saying, "Well, you're silly," and it's sort of like, you just get up there and you start doing your thing and acting silly, So what do they say to you?
Yeah.
Like, that's so easy. You're so funny naturally. You come up with
Just
thing
make it
and
up.
They push you out on the sound stage.
They let me improvise a lot on the show. Just sort of like,
everyone's always improvising.
I think like for me, sort of, I guess the struggle was a little bit of like, I do have a peculiar voice and like, how much of it is like leaning too much towards like alt comedy versus like something that a mainstream audience can appreciate and be into. So sometimes there would be questions of like, what do you want to be? What do you compare yourself in terms of what we've seen? You know what I mean? And like kind of figuring out my space. And I think like ultimately, I'd like to think ended up pretty much doing what I would have done if I wasn't on the show to some degree. You know what I mean? I'd like to think I stayed pretty true to my, I guess, perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would see that. I don't see you pandering or anything out there.
Wait, Dana, I just saw, this is a news flash.
Just a news flash?
I'm looking at his impressions and
oh, great.
It's so funny because I guarantee you half these you don't remember. A sign,
or they're just a look. I mean, right? They just give you a look.
He's got John Kennedy. Is it the John Kennedy that does the hearings? That we always talk about him.
Oh, I have no fucking idea. I don't.
This is just your Wikipedia page.
I was on I think WGN like a couple weeks ago promoting the movie, and like the anchor was like just listing off all these impressions, these like kind of
Bradley Cooper.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure that like
Michael Jackson. You do Michael.
That I do remember. I actually think my Michael was pretty good.
Okay, good.
Can we get a little bit of Michael Jackson? Hey, I want a donut.
Hey man, give me a donut.
Why should I do it after you guys have already done it well?
I just did donut.
It's not good.
Never
always wants a donut. That
shit.
Okay, that's funny.
That was better than the donut one.
That's so funny. You should do him. He's about to go in. Michael Jackson about to get a root canal. Hit. Michael Jackson right after a root canal.
Michael Jackson at
I love that because it's getting
put some jam on it.
I see. I like abstraction. I don't. Accurate impressions can be breathtaking.
But you guys, you know, Dana, for instance, that like you excel at that, and then there are those of us who don't. Like that's never been something that's been like a part of my toolbox or whatever. You know what I mean? I would get thrown in every once in a while. I would surprise myself and do an impression on the show where I was like, okay, I hit that. Pretty well. But like I never was like the dude in middle school or whatever, like doing the perfect Mr. Frank impression or something like that. Our history
teachers,
Yeah, exactly.
What about a read through when you get one you're assigned and you get it right, everyone erupts because they love it because you got it close. And then when you miss it, everyone goes, They kind of they're like,
That's also, I mean, the journey from read through to like the state, like actually Saturday when it's like my Johnny Depp is feeling really good right now, and then it's like the live show, and all of a sudden I don't fucking know how to do this.
Have you ever had it stolen from you after read through the sketch gets on and they replace you?
I'm sure absolutely. I'm sure I have. I mean, like I've once all the celebs started coming through, like
fucking Dana stealing jobs.
I know. I said to Lauren, I just, you'll come back and you'll do all these. No, I just do Biden. And I have 5 catchphrases. I've done them 7 times. I'm running on fumes. I mean, so
it's funny. They go, who looks like Matt Damon? And we go, let's get Matt Damon.
Right. But I'm not like, Daryl Hammond or Kevin Pollak. There are people that are truly brilliant. I mean, sometimes they come to me, but sometimes I've been out there. When I was doing, they assigned me someone. I don't really have a hook.
Oh, and that's what I think that, I don't know that this was happening a ton when you guys were there, but we were getting a lot of, I mean, I was there during a pretty intense, like long strung out news cycle. Like you know what I mean? I was there, Obama, Trump, COVID, I guess Biden. And, like we would get we wouldn't often get the cold opens until like maybe Friday at 5 p.m. But sometimes we wouldn't get them till like Saturday at noon. And then you'd be thrown into like, you're going to play this, like, whatever, Louisiana senator. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, when they have women starting to playing, it makes me smile when I think about Kate McGinnon doing Giuliani. Yeah, because like I'm just going to do kind of a penguin-y villain with and just on a bat. And it's like Sarah coming out as Matt Gaetz. Just the look itself,
was so funny. Yeah, it
was so funny that Louis put together, and he's a Star Trek nerd, so it was completely.
Do you think there's a male cast member that says I want to play Matt Gaetz, or does Sarah just say I want to play Matt Gaetz?
I bet that producers are choosing Sarah. That's my guess.
Sarah, this will be funnier. It is funnier.
I think so. And David, I do want to say, I want to give you your impression props. I'm a big fan of your Tom Petty.
Oh yeah. Yes, Tom Petty. Let's go back and explain it.
You know that he had a whole thing because he used to open for me. What did you have in your trunk? You had
I had props,
a hat.
By the way.
You wore the Petty hat.
Petty hat that I stole off a valet in New Orleans. It was like a gray hat that he used to kind of wear. And then I had the skinny glasses that were like kind of colored. And I used to first say I'd put those on and do an impression of a girl on Adam 12, an old cop show. So I'd put like these hippie glasses and go, what are you going to do? Bust us, pig? That was the intro. Okay, then I'd put the carpet sideburns on, little piece of carpet.
That's right. You had the sideburns with the double-sided tape.
Carpet, yep. Needed double-sided tape at every gig. Mm-hmm. In my rider, I was an opener. No one had a rider. But I would bring it or the bit would fall apart. Couldn't do the bit. And then the hat and then try to sing like him. And it was like it got up to be a closer. And then SNL, we did it. Me and Dana did him and Bob Dylan. I did it alone. But I didn't have that many.
But he was in, I feel like one of those sort of We Are the World. Yeah. I didn't realize that it predated the show.
I did. Oh, yeah. I brought that one in.
Oh, yeah. Nice. He was my opener.
Get that guy.
I'm watching to see when I go on. I see the sideburns come out of the little suitcase. I see the hat, and I go, I got to get on deck. Get ready now. I got to follow this guy. And a lot of times I'm having him cut the mic right before that. I go,
and then you go, there was some sound problem. I didn't hear the ending. And I go, I know. What happened?
But Spade was always like never... like kind of trying to get the audience to love him. So he had a lo-fi kind of attitude. And it was really funny because toward the end of our little tour in the Northeast, he'd come out in shorts, like cutoffs, and kind of drape himself over the little stool mic stand with a Coke and go, hey, what's up, everybody? I'm coming out. Isn't that special?
Everyone's leaning in to hear me. Is this guy talking?
Isn't that special?
Special. Hit the reverb. It was August in the Northeast outdoor sheds, and I would sweat. One night I sweat all the way through my clothes.
90.
gotta do it.
Isn't that
David's in the back. He's got a straw in the can of coffee.
I'm asleep in the back of the rental car. Are we done? Let's go. Head off.
Did you ever do stand-up, Kyle, or want to do stand-up? Or
I did. I would do it. I did it a few times. I got really. I think prior to getting on the show, I would do character bits. I would do stand-up shows, and I did this character, Bruce Chanlane, which I did at the show, which was like a shitty stand-up comedian, and that's something.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I would do in clubs and stuff.
Can I hear a little bit of what a shitty stand-up comedian talks like?
Hey, good to be here, right? Good to be in LA, Los Angeles, city of dreams.
I like it.
Everybody's got a dream here, right? Yeah. Dreaming of getting across town in less than an hour.
That is a good dream.
Yeah, I remember this character.
Oh, you're still looking?
I love that. I say this to myself.
But then he would say something very depressed. But then he would be like, I do really need some help out here, and I think I might.
Right. He'd get kind of down.
Yeah.
I still do stuff like that to make myself laugh. If I go out there, to me, the funniest thing a comedian can say they're in Cleveland and just say, "What's up, Cleveland?" That's their first line. It's so funny to me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even say that. I just go, Cleveland.
Yeah. There was a lot of, whenever I do it now, which I've not done in a while, but a lot of have you seen this? Right? It'll be like, of course, it's Christmas time. You heard about this? You seen this? That sort of thing.
What? How much money would it take to get Kyle Mooney to play a private party? You don't have to answer that, but I'm just thinking it's funny to ask you.
I mean,
how much?
I have
this bad comedian.
Yeah, I have a child, so now that I have to support, so I will do and take anything
for hire. No, he's for hire, like we all are.
Yeah, I mean, above 10K for sure.
Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, boy.
Yes, please. This is what we all want, right?
Yes.
Most money for the easiest
bitterly
job.
say that everyone turned down commercials in the 90s because that's a sellout. And then I think about it and it frustrates me because we read ads hours and hours a week for any product. So we're
done being Pearl Jam and fighting the fucking power.
Right.
But I am happy when I see ex-SNL members doing giant commercial campaigns, knowing they're making a ton of money. It makes me happy. Good for it. Because selling out is taking money and being in a really shitty movie or something. But it's not selling out when everyone knows you're there to get a check to do the commercial.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the opposite of selling out.
I am so eager to get in that game. I've had a couple of those opportunities, but if Bud Light is interested in doing anything with me, I'm fully in. So
yeah. People tell me I sell out every commercial. I go, you don't know me. I sold out starting during SNL. I was doing 1-800-COLLECT. Beep boop bop boop beep bop beep.
You did sell out early. Demis and I talked.
Not enough.
No, not enough. Not. Yeah, I think I'm gonna think good thoughts about you getting a Super Bowl commercial or just some kind of long-term campaign.
I appreciate that
for a phone company or
Sure.
I see as like a tech guy, like you'd be great. The guy in the store, like the Target guy or Apple helper guy.
Help you with your wiring
is more confusing or just passive aggressive or whatever you do with that. It'd be funny.
I love it. Okay.
All right.
Well,
I'm just
Dane,
gonna make
anything
it
left
up
for this young man who's answered everything we've thrown at him? And
I just casually, I just thought it was cool that I just such a fan of Jonah Hill. I just love the way he as an actor, he's somebody. Pops. It's pretty cool. His company was part of your film, Y2K.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they came on, that was really the moment that the movie came together and that A24 signed on.
Mm-hmm.
So and I feel like, he made Superbad such he was so incredible in that movie. And that movie has become such an iconic teen film that I feel like having that sort of association and that stamp, it does bring a lot of value to our
Is it flattering? I mean, probably must be. Like, does he call you up and stuff and say he's a big fan, or he reads the script, or it's something like, obviously he's a fan.
Yeah, no, he's always been he was. We sort of became aware of each other or met each other prior to me being on the show. He was a fan of our internet videos. He's from the LA area. I'm from San Diego, and I made these videos, these inside SoCal videos where like I play a San Diego bro essentially. And I know he really liked those. So he reached out early on, and then when he came, he hosted, I think, twice while I was there. And each time he came on, he's like, we should do something, maybe 3 times. And that's so special. I don't know how many times you guys got to experience that when like a host knows you and is like, I want to do a da-da-da, you know what I mean? He's always been really cool and supportive for sure.
Now your budget couldn't have been too huge though. This isn't like Aquaman, right?
Yeah, I agree. I'd say it's not exactly like Aquaman.
It sounds like Aquaman the way you told me it, but it's got
and that might be that I'm pitching it poorly because I really don't want to give the impression that it's like Aquaman.
Well, Jason Momoa texted me during this podcast and said, man, I'm going to Y2K Friday night. You in, bro?
He's like, dude, this sounds like a fucking ripoff.
Yeah, they're just doing Aquaman.
It's exactly doing Aquaman.
Yeah,
you're not even saying
your comedy
anything.
Safety belts because this movie is going to blow your mind. If you could do an ad with an announcer promoting Y2K, a television ad, what would it sound like?
If I could do...
Y2K. They don't know what's going to happen. That kind of
thing. Maybe.
You might get zapped.
Wait, here he goes.
Okay. Y2K.
Kyle Mooney.
When do you guys want me to go?
Yeah, go.
1, 2, 3.
Y2K. Y2 not.
2K or Y2K? That's the question.
Y. Mooney.
Yeah.
Kyle. K.
Dr. Ding Dong.
Oh, here comes Dr. Ding Dong.
December 6th.
All right. Thank you, Kyle. We won't put you on the spot anymore.
Such a fan. I hope to see you guys at the 50th and hang out, and fan of the show and fan of you guys. So thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, boss.
It's been a thrill, and good luck with the movie. And I feel you're going to be doing a lot of films, and that's just a great career. Making films that you control and love, I believe. But
certainly do my best.
In between that, big ass fucking commercials.
Big ass.
I want my ass to be huge in these commercials.
All right, bye guys.
All right, take care, Kyle.
This has been a presentation of Audacy. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all this stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Audacy, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.